Words are powerful. Words can build a future or tear it down in a moment. You can have brilliant ideas, but if you can't get them across, your ideas won't get you anywhere. Let me say that again. You can have brilliance in your mind, but if your words are broken, the world may never see it. That's where it all begins. With your words, with your voice, with your ability to express what matters most. You see, I believe something deeply. The ability to communicate clearly may just be the most valuable skill you ever develop, not just in business, not just in public speaking, but in life, because your words affect everything: how you lead, how you sell, how you connect, how you raise your children, how you build your future. Now let me tell you a quick story. When I was just starting out, I was shy, quiet, not very confident. I had thoughts, I had ideas, but I didn't know how to share them. And when you can't share what's inside you, you stay stuck. Then one day, my mentor said something that changed me forever. Jim, if you want to be wealthy, if you want to be successful, learn to speak well, not with fancy words, not with loud words, with clear words, with meaningful words, with honest words. So I did. I started learning, I started practicing. I stopped speaking to impress, and I started speaking to express, and that's when things started to change. Because here's the truth, friend, communication is not just a soft skill, it's a life skill. You don't get paid for what you know, you get paid for what you can communicate. You don't build relationships with your thoughts, you build them with your words. So if you feel like you're not getting ahead, if people aren't listening to you, if your message gets lost in the noise, don't stay quiet, don't give up. Learn to speak with strength, with clarity, with purpose, because when you can do that, you can inspire, you can influence, you can lead, you can change lives, including your own. So in this series, I want to walk you through how to become a better communicator, not just a better talker, a better connector, a better leader, a better you. Let's take the first step together. Let's talk about the foundation, the power of words. Words do two major things. They provide food for the mind and create light for understanding and awareness. Let's start at the beginning, the foundation, the root. The very thing that shapes every conversation, every relationship, every result in your life, your words. Your ability to communicate well begins here, with an understanding of just how powerful words really are. Now, I know what you're thinking, Jim, they're just words. No, my friend, they're not just words. They are seeds that grow into thoughts and feelings and actions and outcomes. Words start wars, words heal wounds, words build nations, words destroy families. Words are tools, and if you use them well, they can carve out the life you truly want. When I was younger, I didn't realize this. I spoke casually, carelessly. I'd say whatever came to mind, without intention, without thought, and let me tell you, that kind of speaking, it doesn't build much. But then I learned something from my mentor, Mr. Skay. He said, Jim, don't just say something because it sounds good, say something because it means something. That hit me hard, because I realized most people are just talking, not communicating. They're filling silence with noise, but not filling hearts with meaning. So I began a journey to learn how to speak better, not to impress anyone, but to express clearly, simply, and truthfully. And I want you to begin that journey too. If you don't value your own words, no one else will. You've got to treat every word like it matters, because it does start with the words you say to yourself. What are you saying in the quiet moments to yourself, to your future? Are you speaking life into your dreams, or doubt? Because if your inner language is negative, your outer communication will reflect it. So step 1, value words, especially the words you say when no one else is listening. This one's big. So many people try to sound smart. They use big words, complicated sentences, fancy phrases. But do you know what really works? Clarity. Don't try to be clever, be clear. If people have to work hard to understand you, they won't. But if you can explain big ideas in simple terms, people will trust you. They'll follow you, they'll respect you. So ask yourself, am I speaking so people understand, or am I speaking so people are impressed? That answer can change your future. This is what separates the wise from the careless. Don't just open your mouth and hope it lands well. Craft your message. Slow down, think about your intention before your expression. Do you want to inspire? Do you want to guide? Do you want to bring clarity, comfort, or direction? If so, speak slowly, speak carefully, and speak with purpose. Better to say a few words of value than many words of noise. Now, this is where many get it wrong. They think complexity is intelligence, but I've learned the most intelligent people are the ones who speak simply. I used to study the speeches of great leaders, not because they were loud, but because they were clear. They could say something in 10 words that would take someone else 1,000. Why? Because they respected the audience. They didn't waste time. They said what needed to be said, no more, no less. So if you want to improve your communication, start here. Say more with less. Make your words count. We don't just listen with our ears, we listen with our hearts. If you want to connect, you've got to care. If you want to influence, you've got to feel. Don't be afraid to add Emotion to your words, that's what makes you human, that's what makes you real. People will forget what you said, but they'll never forget how you made them feel. Effective communication is 20% what you know and 80% how you feel about what you know. So let me wrap this up, friend. If you want to become a better communicator, don't just start talking more, start thinking deeper, start choosing words that matter, start building instead of babbling, because at the end of the day, words, when spoken with clarity and conviction, can move the world. And if you learn to speak well, you'll go from misunderstood to unforgettable. Next, we go deeper, because if speaking is one half of communication, listening is the other, and most people, they're hearing but they're not really listening. Let's fix that. Let's talk about how to listen to understand, not just to respond. One of the greatest gifts you can give someone is your full attention. Learn to listen not just with your ears but with your eyes, your mind, and your heart. Let's talk about something that doesn't get enough attention: listening. See, most people think communication is all about talking, being persuasive, delivering a great message, but here's the truth, friend. Effective communication begins with deep listening, not casual listening, not sure, I hear you listening. I'm talking about intentional, focused, humble listening, the kind of listening that helps you understand, not just react, the kind of listening that builds trust, not tension, the kind of listening that changes you. Let me tell you something I learned the hard way in my early days. I thought I had to talk more to be respected, so I filled every silence with my voice, every gap with my opinion, every question with a quick answer. And do you know what that did? It made me miss things, miss feelings, miss opportunities, miss people, until one day a mentor pulled me aside and said, "Jim, you don't have to talk to prove you're smart. Try listening." That's where the real learning is. That's when I made a shift. I began to realize if you want to influence people, you've got to understand them first, and to understand people, you must learn to listen. Sounds simple, doesn't it? But it's not, because most of us, we don't listen to understand, we listen to reply. We're forming our answer while the other person is still speaking. We're waiting for a pause, just so we can jump in. That's not listening, that's performing. True listening means being quiet enough to hear not just the words but the meaning behind the words. So the first step, be quiet, let the silence breathe. Let the person finish, let their heart speak. Sometimes the best way to say something important is to say nothing at all. Don't listen like you already know. Don't listen to correct, don't listen to judge, listen to learn. Ask questions with genuine interest. Why does this matter to them? Where is this emotion coming from? What are they really trying to say? Let me tell you something, when you listen with curiosity, people feel it, they open up, they go deeper, they begin to trust you, because now you're not just hearing them, you're seeing them, and that changes everything. Your eyes, because listening is more than ears, it's body language, it's tone, it's energy. People don't always say what they feel, but they often show it. A slouched posture, a distant gaze, a trembling hand, these are all parts of the message, and if you're not watching, you're missing half the story. People will reveal more in how they act than in what they say, so pay attention not just to words, but to presence, to posture, to pauses. You don't always have to fix what someone says. Sometimes people don't need answers, they need understanding, they need acknowledgement. So when someone speaks, resist the urge to correct them or advise them or tell your own story. Instead, say things like, "That sounds tough, tell me more about that, I hear you." That's listening with compassion, that's listening with empathy, and that's what changes the dynamics of any relationship. This one is powerful. When someone finishes speaking, try this. Repeat what you heard in your own words. Say, "So what I'm hearing is, it sounds like you're feeling." That simple act does two things. It shows the person you were truly present. It helps you confirm you understood them correctly, because sometimes miscommunication happens not from what was said, but from what was assumed. Clarity in listening creates clarity in speaking, and clarity builds connection. So here's what I want you to remember: if you want to become a great communicator, don't start by talking. Start by listening, not with impatience, not with ego, but with stillness, with focus, with heart, because once you understand someone, you can speak to them in a way that reaches them, and that's when your words begin to matter. That's when your voice begins to carry weight. That's when you stop making noise and start making a difference. Good communicators speak well, great communicators listen first. Next, we're going to look at how to build confidence in your communication, because what good is clarity if you're too afraid to use it? It's time to build your voice. The challenge of leadership is to be strong but not rude, be kind but not weak, be bold but not a bully, be thoughtful but not lazy, be humble but not timid, be proud but not arrogant, have humor but without folly. Let's be honest, many people struggle with communication, not because they don't know what to say, but because they're afraid to say it. They hold back, they mumble, they second-guess themselves, and when they do speak, they Feel like they're invisible, like their words are just whispers lost in the wind. And it breaks my heart because your voice, your true voice, is a gift. It's the power you carry to shape your world, to inspire people, to create change. But here's the thing, confidence is not something you're born with, it's something you build like a muscle, like a skill. And today, my friend, I want to show you how to build that confidence, how to speak with purpose, clear, strong, and deliberate, because confidence is not about being loud, it's about being real. Being authentic, being sure of who you are and what you stand for. You've got a story, a unique one no one else has lived it, and that story, it's the foundation of your voice. Too many people try to copy others, they imitate a style that isn't theirs, they speak in tones that don't match their heart. But when you own your story, when you embrace your journey, your voice becomes powerful. People don't want perfect, they want real, they want honest. Think about it for a moment. What's one experience in your life that shaped who you are? Maybe it was a challenge you overcame, a lesson you learned, a moment that changed everything. That experience is your voice's fuel. Use it, let it shine. Confidence rarely comes from winging it, it comes from preparation. When you prepare, you build a foundation beneath your feet. You know your message inside and out. You anticipate questions, you rehearse your key points. Preparation isn't about memorizing every word, it's about knowing your why. Why are you speaking? What is the message you want to leave behind? When you have a clear purpose, your voice flows naturally. You speak with intention. Success is neither magical nor mysterious. Success is the natural consequence of consistently applying the basic fundamentals. Preparation is one of those fundamentals. Here's something many overlook: the power of the pause. When you speak fast, your message gets lost. People can't keep up, your words become a blur. But when you pause, you give your words weight, you allow your audience to digest your message, you create suspense. Pause before important points, pause after a story, pause to take a breath, and the pause does something else. It shows confidence. Why? Because it says, I'm in control, I'm comfortable here, I'm thoughtful with my words. Don't rush to fill every silence, instead lean into the pause. Confidence is also about clarity. If people can't understand you, no matter how loud or bold you are, your message falls flat. Speak slowly, enunciate your words, avoid fillers like you know and like. Remember what I said before, clarity is kindness. When you speak clearly, you're showing respect for your audience, you're making it easy for them to receive your message, and when you speak clearly, you also feel more confident because you know you're being understood. Your voice is more than sound, it's the combination of everything you express. Your posture, your gestures, your facial expressions. Stand tall, open your chest, make eye contact. Body language says more than words. Sometimes people will listen to your body before they listen to your words, so speak with your whole self. Practice in front of a mirror, record yourself, notice your habits, and change the ones that don't serve you. Perhaps the most important secret is this: you must believe in what you're saying. If your heart isn't in it, your voice will betray you. When you believe, your voice becomes strong. Your words carry conviction, your passion is undeniable. People are drawn to that energy, they want to follow it, they want to be a part of it. So before you speak, ask yourself, do I truly believe this? Am I speaking from a place of conviction? If the answer is yes, you're already halfway there. Here's a truth that will set you free. You don't have to be perfect to be confident. Mistakes will happen, you'll stumble, you might forget a line, and that's okay. In fact, it's better than okay. It's authentic. People connect with real, not perfect. When you embrace imperfection, you release the pressure. And when the pressure lifts, your confidence grows. So my friend, if you want to build your voice, start by owning your story. Prepare with purpose, practice the pause, speak with clarity, use your body, believe in your message, and most important, you embrace your imperfection. Because confidence isn't a destination, it's a journey, a daily practice. Motivation is what gets you started. Habit is what keeps you going. Your voice is waiting, your story is waiting, your moment is waiting. Speak up, speak out, speak with confidence and purpose. The best speakers are not the ones who know the most, they're the ones who know how to say the most in the fewest words with the deepest impact. Let me tell you something powerful: people may forget what you said, they may forget what you did, but they won't forget how you made them feel, and nothing makes people feel quite like a good story. You see, storytelling isn't just for writers and poets, it's for leaders, for communicators, for anyone who wants to influence, inspire, and leave a mark. If you want to truly connect, not just speak, not just impress, but connect, you must master the art of storytelling. We live in a world flooded with information, facts, stats, data, charts, but facts speak to the brain. Stories speak to the heart. Facts inform, stories transform. Why? Because stories are how we've always learned, long before books, before screens, before microphones. It was the story told around the fire that taught us how to live, how to love, how to grow. The story is ancient. And it's still the most powerful tool you've got. Now listen closely. Every good story must mean something. A story is not entertainment, it's a vehicle, a bridge that carries truth across emotion. A story without a message is noise, but a story with a message, it can change lives. So before you tell any story, ask yourself, what's the point? What do I want this story to teach? What lesson does it carry? If the message is clear, the story becomes unforgettable. Let me simplify it for you. You don't need to be a master novelist. Here's the formula. 1. The setup. Paint the picture. Where were you? What was going on? 2. The struggle. What went wrong? What was the challenge? 3. The solution. What did you discover? What turned it around? 4. The lesson. What truth came from it? How did you change? That's it. 4 steps. You don't need fireworks, you need honesty, you need clarity, because when you structure your stories this way, you don't just tell a moment, you create a moment. Now here's the part most people avoid, but this is what sets great communicators apart. Be vulnerable. Don't just share your victories, share your mistakes, share your doubts, share the moments when you were weak and got stronger, because when you're real, you give others permission to be real too. Vulnerability builds bridges. It's how we move from respect to trust. We must all suffer one of 2 things: the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. When you tell the truth about your pain, you help someone else rise above theirs. When you tell a story, add color, add texture. Let us see it, let us feel it. Don't just say, I was nervous. Say, my palms were sweating and my heart was pounding like a drum in my chest. Don't just say, I failed. Say, I stood there humiliated in front of a silent, roomy voice, cracking my notes, shaking. You see what I mean? Details bring the story to life. You don't need to exaggerate, you need to remember. Go back into the memory and invite your audience in. A story like a song has rhythm too fast and the meaning gets lost too slow, and the audience drifts. The timing makes the story breathe. Here's a trick. Pause just before the lesson, let it hang there, let your audience lean in, then deliver it. Calm, clear, powerful words do 2 major things. They provide food for the mind and create light for understanding and awareness. When you pace your story well, your words carry weight, they leave footprints in the mind. You don't need dozens of stories, you need a few good one to your message. Choose stories that support your point, stories that make your ideas feel real. If you're speaking about perseverance, share a time you almost gave up. If you're talking about growth, share a time you failed and grew. The best communicators don't say, let me tell you a story. They say, here's what happened to me once, and I'll never forget it. That's how you make it natural, that's how you make it human. Always land your story with a lesson. Let people walk away with a truth they can carry. Make it simple, make it memorable. Something like, and that day I learned success isn't about getting it right the first time, it's about getting up one more time than you fall. That one line wrapped in a story will do more than 10 facts ever could. Stories are how you plant seeds in people's minds, and when you water them with time, they grow into wisdom. My friend, don't underestimate the power of your story. Don't hide it, don't wait for it to be perfect, because someone out there needs to hear it, not from a guru, not from a celebrity, but from you. Speak your truth, share your journey, deliver your message through story, and you will do more than speak. You will connect. If you just communicate, you can get by, but if you communicate skillfully, you can work miracles. Let's bring it all together now. We've talked about the power of words, we've talked about listening with intention, we've talked about speaking with confidence and the magic of storytelling, but none of it becomes great overnight, not in a week, not in a month. The final ingredient, the one that separates the good from the great, is this practice: deliberate, consistent, intentional practice. You can know the theory, you can learn the tips, you can read the books, but unless you do the work, you will never find your voice. Let me remind you, no one is born a master communicator, not me, not you, not the greats. We all start somewhere, we all stumble, we all sound awkward at first. But here's what separates the few from the many: the few keep practicing over and over again, until what once felt uncomfortable becomes natural, until the words start flowing, until the message starts landing. Success is neither magical nor mysterious. Success is the natural consequence of consistently applying the basic fundamentals, and communication, my friend, is a fundamental. Let's get something straight. You've heard the phrase, practice makes perfect. Not quite perfect. Practice makes progress, and progress repeated over time creates mastery. So if you want to get better at communication, you must practice out loud, not just in your head. Practice with intention, not randomly. Practice with feedback, not in isolation. Don't just speak more, speak better each time. That's how you turn a skill into an art. You don't need a big stage, you don't need a crowd. Start where you are. Practice with a friend, practice in your journal, record your voice, join a small group, teach what you know, because every time you open your mouth with purpose, You sharpen your ability, don't wait for the spotlight. The spotlight comes to those who've been quietly practicing in the dark. Now this part is hard, but if you want to grow, it's necessary. Ask for feedback, not flattery, not applause. Ask what worked, what didn't land, what did you feel when I said that. You see, feedback is a mirror, and a mirror helps you see yourself clearly, not to tear yourself down, but to build yourself up with awareness. Learn to be like a sponge. Absorb what's useful, squeeze out what's not. Let others help you shape your skill. Because the communicator who listens becomes unforgettable. Do it once. You're a beginner, do it daily. You're a student, do it repeatedly. You're a master. Confidence doesn't come from the words, it comes from the repetition. Think of the athlete, the pianist, the artist. They repeat and repeat, not because they're bad, but because they want to become great. Communication is no different. Want to feel more natural when you speak? Then speak more often. Want your voice to sound stronger? Then train it every single day, not just when it matters, but when no one is watching, because every great communicator has done more behind the scenes than they've done in the spotlight. Here's the good news: you don't need to be perfect to be powerful. You can start messy, you can sound unsure, you can even forget a line, but if your intention is clear, people will feel it. Over time, you refine your message, you polish your delivery, you tighten your timing bit by bit, mistake by mistake. You rise, so don't fear the stumble, fear standing still, because standing still is the enemy of growth. One of the fastest ways to master communication is to teach it. Share what you're learning with others. Speak on what's helping you. Talk about what you're practicing. When you teach, you don't just reinforce knowledge, you discover clarity. If you share something good with 10 people, they get better, and so do you. You're not waiting to become a guru, you're becoming someone worth listening to, one insight at a time. So pass it on. And finally, let me say this: communication is not just a skill. It's a way of life. It shows up in how you talk to your team, to your spouse, to your children, to yourself. So make it a habit. Practice clarity, practice empathy, practice presence. The better you communicate, the deeper your relationships, the greater your influence, the stronger your leadership. It's not about being perfect, it's about being intentional. Let's wrap this up. You want to be a great communicator? Then remember the journey. Understand the power of words. Listen to understand. Speak with confidence and purpose. Tell stories that connect. Practice relentlessly. Seek feedback. Refine until it becomes art. If you follow these steps, you'll do more than speak. You'll move people, you'll impact lives, you'll become someone they remember. Because in the end, effective communication is 20% what you know and 80% how you feel about what you know. So feel deeply, practice constantly, and speak powerfully. Your voice can change your life, and it might just change someone else's too.